Okay, so in this part we're going to be installing the thumb brake, and that is going to require drilling and tapping 2 holes in the frame. We're going to use thread forming rather than thread cutting on the threads to get a tighter fit because we don't want this thumb brake coming off. So we'll start out, we're going to do just a center drill so that the drill bit doesn't walk around. We get it precise for the first hole, and then for the second hole we'll use the actual thumb brake to make sure that it's set up for the second hole. This is tapped. The thumb brake that we're using is the RHT thumb brake that is made by ResComp, and it comes with 2 screws that are an 836 thread. 836 machine thread is considered extra fine. You probably will not find that tap at Lowe's or Home Depot or anywhere, so you probably have to order that. So let's get started on the machining process. And we'll change to a number 28 bit. Some charts call for a 29 for about 75% cut. This is going to be super tight. It's carbon steel. I don't really want to run the risk of snapping the tap off in the receiver. So I'm going to use a 28, which should give me around 81–82% on my threading. Just go slow. Okay, so that part's done. Notice we're not moving the center drill, the tap. We're not moving the mill for any of that. It's staying in place so that everything is just lined up perfectly. So for what we're doing here, the tap that we're using is actually a thread forming tap as opposed to a thread cutting tap, which should have a little tighter fit. They call it a class 2A fit, which definitely needs tools to thread it in. Definitely you don't want to try to power tap this. You will snap that bit right off. Let me see how I can get in here and just kind of bring it down with a little bit of downward pressure with the handle. And the difference between thread forming and thread cutting does exactly that. It has channels that, as it cuts chips away in the material, the chips are funneled back up through those channels. Thread forming is exactly that. It's just displacing metal to form the threads. So there's not actually any metal being removed. It's just being redistributed, so to speak. and it is a much slower process, as you can see. If we were doing thread cutting, we could just power tap this probably. I probably wouldn't with it being such a small screw, but we probably could. You literally, with thread forming, are only taking about 1/8 of a turn every time. And I don't think that's through. It's just not full thread through. We've kind of got a taper on the thread. Fuck. And there it went. All right, so now figure out how to get this out and get a thread cutting tap so that this frame is not ruined. And this is, yeah, most unexpected, most unpleasant. All right, I got some work to do. See if I can get that on camera too. So I can tell you that was definitely one of those oh shit moments. Fortunately, what was left of the bit, or the tap rather, the thread forming tap, I was able to back it out about a thread with some locking needle nose pliers, and it just started crumbling. So with as thin as it was, by the time I got it all chipped away, you know, I was able to take a punch and just splinter it, and the threads are okay, thank goodness. And so now we're going to wait to finish this. We're going to wait for a thread cutting tap so that it will hopefully not snap off in the frame. So when we get a thread cutting tap, I'll come back and we will do the front hole and finish installing the thumb rest. Okay, so we're going to be back to do our second hole. Pretty much the same thing as the first. Turn the mill on. We're just going to spot drill it or center drill it. Then we'll change out to a drill bit and then follow it up with a thread cutting tap this time instead of a thread forming. We'll see if that works a little better. We managed to salvage the thread on the first one, but it'd be nice to not have that much problem. So here we go. Okay, so that will take care of that. We need to grab a drill bit that we're going to use. We're going to use a number 28 for an 836 836 thread. Drill charts usually call for a number 29, which is great, but that small of a tap, I'm going to use just a little bit less thread engagement on it. So reduce the risk of breaking a tap, as you saw we already did with the thread forming tap. So be right back with the drill bit set up in it, and we'll carry on from there. Okay, so number 28 drill bit, pretty simple drilling procedure on the mill. Okay, so it looks like I've got a little bit of walk. So I'm going to come back in with center drill and clean that up a little bit and just make sure that I've got a good dimension there. And so sorry, I forgot to turn the camera on. I used a smaller center drill. Actually went all the way through the frame, but that's okay. The smaller one that I used, the pilot on it, is smaller than the 28 drill bit, and it gave me a good chamfer all the way around that hole so that this drill bit shouldn't walk at all. It should be perfect. And it is. through, and we'll clean that up and come back with the thread cutting tap to finish that up. Okay, we'll go ahead, and again we're going to do this just turning the spindle by hand. I'm going to get lots of lube in here to keep down on the friction, and go slow. That is definitely turning easier than the thread forming tap did. Doesn't mean it won't break. And if it does, you might hear another choice word or two out of me. But I think we're through. We've got a good thread there. Yep, we're definitely all the way through. So we'll back that out. So thread cutting tap, lesson of the day. Something this small, probably a good idea to use thread cutting instead of thread forming. All right, clean that up real quick and we'll try a screw. Thread looks really good. Actually looks better than the one that was formed. All right, and so we've got a good thread there. So that's that's drilling and tapping for our thumb brake. Bring that back in a second and show you what it's going to look like. So with the tap removed, or the tap removed, with the machining done on that, this is what we're going to end up with. So that's our thumb brake. And that's drilling and tapping for it.